This is Juniper of Soul of East Studio. Welcome to my backyard. I'm so fortunate that the rains have come back, so that it's the creek is starting to flow because it was looking a little muddy and mucky. I don't know if you can see the color of the water, but it's definitely was getting a little stagnant. And let's see if I can put the tripod back up without it wanting to fall down the hill. All right, there we go. Okay. But the fish are still jumping, so that's all right. And the heron's been back lately. And today I saw a red-headed woodpecker just knocking away at the rotten fir tree up there. So today's 9/11. And whenever it's 9/11, I always think back to the year 2001. And in 2001, on September 11th, I was in Telluride, Colorado, living out of a van, which was such a lovely experience, living out of a van and just being able to go wherever we wanted to go and eat wherever we wanted to eat. Like if we're driving on a small highway and there's a beautiful pull-off, we could just pull over, open up the van door, make lunch with beautiful scenery, eat there, and then head back on our way. So much freedom in living in a self-contained, portable home. And it's such a simple life because we each had one small cupboard for clothes and books and everything, all of our belongings. And cleaning was so simple because the space was so small. The sink was tiny, so if you didn't want your dishes to fly around while you were driving, you had to wash them. So it was just so simple and short, and every chore was short. So that was a really nice blessing, just to have minimal belongings and just to be on the road. But we're in Telluride, Colorado, and the campground host knocked on the van, and oh my goodness, you can't believe what's happening, the airplanes are crashing, blah blah. So we went down to a little pub to see what the news was saying, and yes indeed, and of course my cousin was living in New York City at that time. Oh honey, don't, kitty, don't knock over the phone. All right, I know. So of course I was like, is my cousin all right? But luckily we had a cell phone, and so that was nice. But yeah, oh honey, you're gonna, yeah, come on now. And then that night we traveled on to sleep above the Rio Grande in Taos, New Mexico, which was we spent a while in Taos. And Taos is quite a beautiful area. But there's a lot of opinions about who's to blame for that whole occurrence. And opinions and blame, it just creates so much drama and division. So that got me thinking about division and how so many things are happening. You know, all of the mass shootings creates division, creates strong opinions. Oh, I think that this and this needs to be done, and I think this and this needs to be done, and there's a lot of opinions out there, and a lot of passion behind the opinions as well. But ultimately that stirs up drama, and it keeps people divided, instead of bringing people together. And I know that when there's division within my home, if my children and I, or whoever and I, aren't getting along, which I completely experienced last year, unfortunately, my sister unexpectedly needed a place to live, so she moved in with me, and that did create quite a bit of division. And I did have some very strong opinions about how some of my possessions were used and how things should happen in my house. So I was quite opinionated, and it created division, which created a whole lot of drama, which was stressful, and it wasn't fun, and it was it's awful, really. Nobody enjoyed it. Fortunately, she found a beautiful apartment to live in a few months later, and is very happily living there now. Beautiful apartment, all new everything. So it all worked out well in the long run, but I got stuck in my opinion, which created a lot of division. But living in that sort of stress and drama, and it's not pleasant. But it got me to thinking, like, okay, so she was doing this and this and this and this. Her actions were a certain way in my home, and I didn't agree with all of them. And how do I manage without creating a bunch of drama, without creating a bunch of stress, without further damaging our relationship, which still right now, our relationship needs a little repairing. But where she's at in her life right now, I just have to accept. I don't necessarily agree with all of her choices and all of her actions and all of that, but I have to accept it and not be stuck in my opinions, because it doesn't help her out and it doesn't help myself out. It just makes me really sad, basically. Or angry, or emotional. And being overly emotional is it takes a lot of my thinking time. And my thinking time can be used in much better ways than judging my sister's actions. And vice versa, you know what I mean? Because I'm not the perfect person, so her judging my actions, or, you know, how I'm raising my kids, or how I run my household, or, you know, there's all sorts of opinions people can have about anything. You know, whether it's how my son washes his soup bowl. I can have an opinion about that. No, you didn't, you know, use enough soap, so it's still kind of messy, and it's not clean enough, and, you know. But again, choosing your battles, and what are you going to spend your time thinking about? What are you going to spend your time dwelling on? And so as today is September 11th, yeah, that was an intense day. And there's a lot of violence that happens, and it's unfortunate, and it creates a lot of division. But I would rather spend my time creating unity, such as making things for other people, or living in a way that is good for where I live. Like the other day, I was moving around some wood and I saw a big frog just hanging out in the wood pile. And there weren't many frogs here when I moved in. I suspect that the people who lived here before me used a lot of chemicals on their lawn, and just looking at how the backyard was, they might have used weed killer and things to create this beautiful backyard with no undergrowth under the trees. But thin-skinned animals like the frogs, they don't do well with those kind of chemicals. So since I've been living here, I've noticed that there's been more frogs. I did notice a salamander a couple years ago hiding. I haven't gone looking for it again, but there's been more squirrels. There's been more deer, and that's been increasing the amount of animal traffic or presence in my yard has definitely increased immensely from when I first moved in, and something I really enjoy. I enjoy sharing my space. I enjoy the unity with the wild creatures that live around me. There was a lot of raccoon activity the other day. I was eating lunch outside and something brought me inside, and I had left tortilla chips on my back porch where I was eating my lunch. And when I came back out, the tortilla chips were gone. I was like, where did they go? And there was a trail of chips leading into the bushes, so I went and looked, and a mama raccoon was in the bushes eating out of the bag of chips. And I looked up in the tree because she looked up, and there were 3 pretty big babies. But it was obvious that she was a nursing mama. So there was, so she was definitely hungry. But she ate the whole bag. It was like half a bag of tortilla chips. She ate them all. Well, I think one of the babies got some. But she's so fascinating to watch because they have thumbs. And she would just pick up the chips and eat them and eat them and eat them. And some people don't like raccoons, and they have a strong opinion about them. And yes, raccoons can create some drama, because I did want to eat my chips, but she got them. But I'm not going to call animal control on her because she went up on my back porch and took them. But that kind of unity, that kind of coexisting, that kind of tolerance, that kind of sharing and not getting angry because she was hungry. Why should I be angry that she's hungry? But just loving, just living in a state of love and trying to, even when things happen that you didn't expect, or the bump comes up in the road or whatever, just lovingly get through without being stuck in opinions and drama. I guess that's what I was reflecting on this morning. So I'm hoping that there was at least a gem or 2 in there, so you have something interesting to think about for today. And I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Okay, blessed be.